Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have got to talk about Elon Musk and Cathie Wood. And the reason we've got to talk about these two is because they are basically having a little date on Twitter by agreeing about what's going on with inflation. Now, inflation report just came out. CPI data was not that good. We were expecting it to go from like 8.5 to 7.9, 7.8. It ended up going to 8.3, and core inflation went up 0.1%, which pretty much sucks. The market fell. Dow Jones fell down 1,200 points. S&P fell down 4%. It was not a good day yesterday to be in the market. However, Cathie Wood is agreeing with Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk tweeted on September 9th, a major Fed rate hike risks deflation. Now, quick thing before we analyze sort of the nuance behind this is Elon Musk has a high growth tech company called Tesla. Cathie Wood has an entire innovation fund of ARK ETFs with high growth tech companies, Zoom, Roku, Coinbase, etc. They do not like the Fed raising interest rates because when the Fed raises interest rates, it compresses valuations for tech companies because now the cost of borrowing capital becomes greater because interest rates are higher, and that ends up hurting the highest growth tech companies in the world, which means those valuations compress. The amount you're paying for a dollar of cash flow in the future, you can't really justify paying that, and that's why tech companies basically crash. So Elon Musk does not like interest rates going up, right? Obviously, he's not a fan of that because of the tech company he owns. Neither does Cathie Wood. Now, when he says a major Fed rate hike risks deflation, what he's making the analysis for, in my opinion, is he oversees the entire supply chains and logistics of Tesla, which is, one of the biggest auto manufacturers in the world. So if you're looking at all these commodity prices, all of the raw materials that need to go into making a brand new car, and the CEO of that company is saying, hey, prices are actually going down, things are good, then maybe you don't need to have interest rates go higher to stop inflation because things are deflating. Cathie Wood quote tweeted and said, deflation in the pipeline heading for the PPI, CPI, PCE deflator from post-COVID price peaks. Lumber is down 60%, copper 35, oil 35, iron ore 60, dram 46, corn 17, Baltic freight rate 79, gold 17, and silver down 39%. All of those things being down that much necessitates that inflation is starting to go away on its own naturally, primarily because of inventories and sort of the demand destruction that Cathie Wood's been talking about as her thesis versus artificially from interest rates, leading them to end up going down. Cathie Wood also says, as measured by the Manheim, used car prices dropped 4% in August, roughly 50% at an annual rate, which means in January, car prices were going up. Now they're going down. It's been 8 months, which is a good thing because things are deflating. They've also dropped 10% since peaking in January, and if electric vehicles are as disruptive as we believe, they could be cut in half, hitting lows last seen during the great financial crisis in late 2008. What does she mean by electric vehicles? So let's go a little bit further into this. If residual auto values deteriorate accordingly, the $1 trillion U.S. auto the $1 trillion in U.S. auto debt will be in harm's way. Autos were the best credit in 2008-2009 as individuals prioritized their auto loan payments at the expense of mortgages so they could get to work and stay employed. Which means in 2008-2009, when the great financial crash happened, individuals prioritized paying for their car over their mortgages, not only because there was an entire subprime mortgage lending crisis, but also because they needed to get to work to be able to make money. And the best way to be able to stay employed and make money is by having a vehicle, having a car. This time around, thanks to ride hailing and soon less expensive autonomous taxis, individuals are unlikely to prioritize auto debt payments over mortgage payments, which could turn backward-looking quant models upside down. Basically saying the paradigmatic approach of models for quantitative analysis in 2008-2009 when it came to auto loan payments is flipped on side of its head because electric vehicles are disruptive. And if electric vehicles are disruptive and we have things like ride hailing and less expensive autonomous taxis, which means you don't need to get a $300 payment with insurance, you can just get into a car for $10 and it can take you anywhere you want, which is the major economic shift that could happen to boost productivity in our entire society. And obviously Tesla would be a major beneficiary of that. Then that would change the dynamic of how we think about car payments in the first place. That would change the entire way we think about the global economy, which means that there is a broader chance for deflation happening versus inflation happening. Elon Musk says exactly this is neither subtle nor secret. This is one of my followers here. He said, yeah, and you said inflation was transitory. So he's poking a little fun at Cathie. Now, Cathie Wood was wrong about inflation being transitory, right? And I think she sort of acknowledged that, yes, inflation was not transitory and they were a little bit too early on their predictions. The problem was you have to pick a camp, right? If you're in the Cathie Wood camp, you have to believe that inflation is transitory, because if you don't believe inflation is transitory and you come out saying inflation sucks, you cannot justify taking the $45 billion of assets under management they have and buying Coinbase, buying Roku, buying Zoom, buying DNA, buying all these high growth tech companies that at the end of the day are massively hurt DraftKings by interest rates going up. So the only way interest rates keep going up is if the Fed is hawkish against inflation and they feel inflation is here to stay, which is what Jerome Powell said on August 26th. The way to get against that is to create a counter narrative using your economic analysis, your own propagandization of facts or opinions, statistics, analysis, models, whatever it may be, and say the claim that inflation is transitory. She was wrong about that. Now she has a little bit more data backing her up, as all the data we just saw in the previous tweet. Elon Musk is supporting her. Again, reference to the beginning of the video, Elon Musk is very biased because he has a tech company, but nonetheless, he's overseeing the entire supply chains and commodity prices, and he's like, well, it looks like things are getting back to normal, which means why do we need interest rates to go higher? The Fed risks a massive recession if they keep raising interest rates because essentially they're going to crash the economy. And I think at some level, Jerome Powell is like, which is what he literally said, some pain needs to happen. The question is, to what extent does that pain need to happen? Does it actually have to hurt regular people doing regular things on Main Street, or is it going to hurt just the Wall Street and the stock market, and things are going to be okay in the actual economy? We don't know that. But so far, Cathie Wood and Elon Musk absolutely believe that inflation needs to be resolved not through interest rates, but rather through smaller rate hikes, if any rate hikes, not 75 bips, which is likely going to be. And then you've got other people saying it should be 125 bips. But deflation via technology will be able to get rid of inflation over the next 12 to 24 months. And if that's the case, then rising interest rates would crash the economy for no reason. And this is the balance the Fed has to play here, because they can't get overly dovish and be like, oh, it's okay, inflation's going down. We went from 9.1 to 8.5, inflation peaked. Because if they do that and they don't raise interest rates as much, and then we get the results we get yesterday many more times where inflation actually increases core by 0.1%, then we're screwed, because they took the wheel off they took their the feet off the pedal. And now inflation is just going to continue to get higher. Turkey has 80% inflation. Zimbabwe has 626% inflation. Inflation is not a good thing. We've got to resolve it. The question is, at what expense do we resolve it? And ultimately, I guess we're going to see what happens. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching. Let me know your thoughts about how you feel about Cathie Wood and Elon Musk, and if they are correct on this thesis. And I guess we'll find out what happens. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.